نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respected and dear listeners and viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we shall try to read and then understand few more verses from second chapter, this Al-Baqarah, starting from verse number 178. Verse number 178. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who have believed, that is, O believers, kutiba alaykumul qisas, legal retribution has been prescribed for you. Fil qatla, in the matter of a murder. Al hur bil hur, a free for a free. Wal abdu bil abd, a slave for a slave. Wal unsa bil unsa, a woman for a woman. Faman ufiya lahu min akhi shay'un, if one overlooks the fault of his brother, fatiban bil maruf, it is to be followed. It is to be followed in a goodly manner. Wa'adaun ilahi bi ihsan, and payment to be made in perfect way. ذَلِكَ تَخْفِيفٌ مِنْ رَبِّكُمْ, this is alleviation or concession from your Lord. وَرَحْمَةٌ, and mercy. فَمَنْ يَتَدَى بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ, but who transgresses even after that, فَلَهُ عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ, for him is grievous punishment. وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ, and for this retribution, legal retribution, there is life for you, Ya ulil albab, O men of understanding, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that you become pious or you become God-fearing. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقُرْمُ, enjoined upon you is hadar ahdakum, when death approaches to anybody amongst you, in taraka khaira, and if he leaves behind some wealth, al wasiyatu, a bequest or a will, lil walidain, for his parents, wal akrabin, and his near relatives, bil maruf, in a goodly manner. Haqqan al muttaqin, this obligation upon the pious and God-fearing people. فَمَنْ بَدَلَهُ, but whosoever alters that bequest or that will, بَعْدَمَا سَمِعَ, after hearing it, فَإِنَّمَا إِثْمُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يُبَدِّلُونَ, so there is sin upon those who alter it. Inna Allah Sami, Allah is all hearing, Alim, and He is all knowing also. فَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوسٍ جَنَفًا, but if anyone fears partiality, or wrongdoing on the part of the testator or bequeather, فَأَصْلَحَ بَيْنَهُمْ, and he corrects that between them, فَلَا إِثْمَ عَلَيْهِ, then there is no sin upon him. Inna Allah Ghafur, because Allah is all forgiving, Rahim, the most merciful. This is legal retribution in the matter of killing. For this, we have to keep in mind the prevailing circumstance at that time. Because in Arabia particularly, and in general all world over, people were divided into tribes and clans. And in Arabia, we know, Arabian Peninsula, there was no organized government even. People were divided in tribes and they had their own laws and regulations. And there was general warfare. One tribe attacking other for some benefits, killing people, looting the property. And then when that would happen, if a person from a tribe was killed by the person of the other enemy or opponent tribe, that there was, of course, a retaliation, a fire of retaliation. And it would result in a continuous warfare. They would be always in search of an opportunity to attack the tribe and kill as many as possible. If one was killed, they would kill 10. And when that's what, they would also be in search of opportunity to attack, to burn the opponents alive and loot everything and attack their women folk and kidnap anybody here. This was the rule of the day. And this was one aspect. Another aspect, so there was division of society into different classes. As there, we see there, it was that free people and the slaves. Slaves were considered as animals. The same way, slave is not a servant. Servant is every right. Slaves were sold and slaves were bought. They were bought and sold as a commodity, as we today buy and sell animals. And then we feed those animals by a horse. And we give them a loaf of grass in the morning or in the evenings or something. Simply because whatever a horse earns during the day, that belongs to me, not to the horse. Horse has all the right, just I feed him. Not for I have any special love for that horse or cow or something. It's only because then only it will be of any help to me. Same, it was the way of life that in Arab and world over. People were kidnapped and then made slaves and then sold, and one who would buy them, they would behave like animals for them. They would make them to work. Somebody working as an ironsmith, some as a farmer or a tiller, or sometimes somebody like as a laborer, anywhere, or a carpenter or mason. But whatever he would earn, since he was a slave, nothing belonged to him. He had to give his earnings to his master. He was the earner. And what was the right of these slaves? Only two times food. That too, because if the master would not provide them the food, they would be turned weak and they would die. And he would lose all these avenues of his earnings. And that time it was considered, if somebody had 10 slaves, he was considered to be rich. He was, as we see, somebody having 10 horses and giving them that on rent to people. And in the evening, he receives that money from them. Same was true about slaves. Anybody, as many slaves somebody had possessed, as rich he was considered. That was slavery. And they were looked down upon. Their condition was worse than animals. They would put all their efforts and bring that earnings, give to the master, and he will simply make them two times bread for their eating, for their food, lunch, dinner, and that's all. They were looked down upon. And there was distinction on this, as in ancient India, society was divided into Brahmins, Kshitris, Vaishyas, and Shudras like that. It was like that everywhere. There were not equal rights. It was like this. If a free man would kill a slave, that was not a problem. He was not accountable before anything. The slave had no, he was like an animal. At the most, if he was caught, he would be penalized by paying a small amount of money. In ancient times, just 4 annas, a dime, or half a dollar from a modern standard, that's enough. But on the other hand, if a free man was killed by a slave, that was the greatest crime. Even if that slave was caught and that he would be beheaded, that was not enough. It was thought, how come? Can one slave be equal to a free man? They would say, at least depend upon the status of the person. It was decided by tribal laws and regulations that depending upon the status of the free person, whether it was a leader or medium class or lower class free man, 2, 10, 5 or more slaves are to be killed just in exchange for one killing he had done. That too was a crime. Such was the condition, prevailing condition. In such situation, Quran laid the foundations of law. In such lawless situation, by and by, laws were applied until we see just within 23 years of prophethood, at the end of the day, when Prophet peace be upon him left this world, whole Arabia, which was divided into 101 tribes, everywhere, no organized government, when he left this world, whole Arabian Peninsula was under one command, well organized, the most disciplined force on earth. You can imagine, I'm not exaggerating by saying most disciplined and most organized in the world. History proved it. These were these tribals who defeated, which even Romans, who defeated even Iranians, which were Iran's superpower at the time, they got crushed under the feet of these tribals, such as organization. So the Quran laid the foundation. This is one of the foundation. The Quran said nothing. This is discrimination. Prophet, peace be upon him, said at the time of farewell pilgrimage, he said, let it be known to one and all that henceforth there shall be no distinction between white and black. This distinction prevailed in even America, United States of America, until 150 years. We see even in South Africa, it ended in 90s. That apartheid regime. It was all over. Read the books about what happened to blacks and how slavery was encouraged by Americans. Arthur Haley's book, The Roots, is the living. I suggest you should read that book to understand the exploitation of the black slaves, how they were bought, sold, and what was their condition, and how they were actually rendered to being almost animals by these so-called civilized people, calling themselves civilized people. This is unfortunate. Now, where they are teaching us humanity, when Quran taught us this humanity 1400 years back, no distinction in this book. That there's a law of retribution henceforth, no violation of the law. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O those who believe, or true believers, kutiba alaykum al-qisas fil qatl. Now there's a rule, there's a law for this, law of retribution. There's legal retribution in the case of murders. In the case of murder, there's law now. What? Al-hurr bil-hurr. Free for a free. That means if a free man is a killer, irrespective of whom he has killed, he is to be killed. Action is to be taken against him. Well, abd bil abd. If a slave has committed this murder, assassination, he is to be punished according to this rule of law. Well, unsa bil unsa. And if a woman has done it, she is to be punished according to this law of retribution. So this laid the foundation of the basic laws in the world, not only in Arabia, throughout the world, which were seen nowhere in the world, in any part of the world. فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. Though this is the retribution, that's capital punishment. Quran upholds it, yes, suggests, recommends it, and it is, but still then, it leaves a space, a door for forgiveness too. فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٍ. If a person overlooks the fault of his brother, that means if a person forgives, a person has been killed, so he cannot forgive or punish, he's gone. Now the authority lies with his closest kin. For example, if wife has been killed, husband can decide. According to law, capital punishment. Similarly, father has been killed, so son has been killed, that father can take a course, softer course. That's what Quran lays in the same breath. فَمَنْ أُفِيَ لَهُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ شَيْءٍ. And who overlooks the fault of his brother, that means nearest kin of the assassinated person, can forgive also. From the killer, he can forgive. But that forgiveness is not unconditional. Then there will be killing around. Quran says no. Then it is to be made proper follow-up of the cases to be made, not just forgiveness for the sake of forgiveness. It is to be properly cases to be followed, and compensation, which will be determined by the court of law, is to be paid for the nearest of the kin of the person who has been killed, who has been assassinated, who has been murdered. His nearest kin is to be paid the compensation. So the killer can escape and can be saved from capital punishment. But this very interesting thing, this forgiveness can be only granted by the nearest of kin or the deceased person. Today is other way around. Today a murderer is being pardoned by a chief minister, while people are watching from a distance. Those whose eyes have dried of tears because their close near of kin has been killed. Forgiveness is granted by mercy petition is to be filed by the court of president or parliament or some prime minister and other people. They forgive. In Islamic system, that's not to be. You cannot forgive on my behalf. I know the pain. I have faced the agony. I do know the consequences. It's me if I forgive. If you are suffering from some pain, for God forbid, may Allah save you from all this, it's your right. How can I forgive on your behalf? It's nearest of kin who can. But that forgiveness is not unconditional. That is to be properly followed. And a due compensation as a payment is to be paid to the nearest person or the deceased person. This is very important, that point. And one more point, just by the way, I tell you. Then again, there's a law. When for example, I tell you, a person is killed, and he can be awarded death punishment, capital punishment, but if he's forgiven by the nearest kin, and innocent is decided, no, let him pay 100,000 or 500,000 to the nearest of kin, and the killer pays. That now he's not a killer, he pays because it should not be under any pressure. It should be of free will, it should be forgiven. And he pays money. How that money is to be spent? It's not that husband is killed, wife gets the whole amount and she spends out of her own. Or father is killed, son gets it. And another law comes in, which we dealt with in chapter An-Nisa, 4th chapter of Quran. That amount which is paid as a compensation to the nearest kin of a deceased is to be distributed, it is to be taken as a property left back by the deceased, and it is to be divided or distributed among his legal heirs in the ratio prescribed by Quran. How much out of this amount shall go to his son, how much to his daughter, how much to his wife, how much to his father, mother, if they are alive, or who are the legal heirs. That amount, just by the way, I told you we have to keep that into mind, though that's not discussed here, just for information. But if someone overlooks the fault of his brother, then the case is to be followed in a goodly manner, and payment to be made. And Quran says, this is elevation or a concession from your Lord, which can be availed. You can avail. Islam is not just for indiscriminate killings only. You can avail this, but it depends. You cannot force this concession. You cannot force the nearest kin of the deceased to forgive. That's not good. It has to be our free will. This is an elevation or a concession from your Lord if you forgive. And a mercy. But who transgresses even after that? For him is grievous punishment. That means, maybe that may also happen. Quran takes care of that too. That, okay, a compensation of free will, I accept blood money. I take it. But still there is a revenge in my mind. After accepting money, case being settled peacefully, with consent, still I feel that if I get a chance, how can I kill the person, the killer, and I still use force against him and kill him? That's crossing the limits. Or other way around, that's injustice. That's immoral. That's why Quran says, who transgresses even after that, for him is grievous punishment. For you, in this law of retribution, in this legal retribution, there is life, ya ulul albab, O men of understanding. That means, apparently it may seem that you are killing a person who commits murder, according to law, basically he is to be hanged or he is to be murdered accordingly. But some people may feel, as we say now, there's a hue and cry around for the abolition of capital punishment. In different parts of the world, and certain countries have abolished it altogether. In India, I mean, there are hue and cry here that it is to be abolished. Quran says, not walakum fil kisaya. But Quran, as we learned from the previous verse, Quran leaves the door open for reconciliation too, for forgiveness and reconciliation and payment of blood money, of course. but by free will without any pressure. But Quran says, in this law of retribution, there is life. It's not a murder, it's not a killing. It's not any atrocity as you are committing by killing a killer. You are relieving community or humanity of a murderer, of a killer. You are giving life to whole community by taking action against a murderer, against an assassin. It is life. In this law of retribution, there's life for you. Ya ulul albab, oh men of understanding. That means if you think, you'll see. Doesn't it life giver? It's not a killing, it's life giver. Ya ulul albab, oh men of understanding, la'allakum tattaqun, so that you become pious and righteous or God-fearing. Then another thing is this about the distribution of wealth left behind by a dead person, by a deceased, when a person dies, and how his property is to be distributed. Here you have to remember, Quranic laws were applied gradually. It didn't come all of a sudden. I hope you remember, you know it perhaps, the prohibition of intoxicants. Though now wines, intoxicants stand prohibited. They are haram for all time to come. But this law of prohibition didn't come all of a sudden. It came in 3 stages. Firstly, in Al-Baqarah, that, O Messenger, they're asking thee about drinking and gambling. Tell them there may be some benefits in this, but there's more harm or more sinful aspect of this. So this was not prohibited, these two, but foundation laid for that. And after some time came second direction. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu la taqrabus salata wa antum sukara. O believers, when you are under the influence of intoxicants, don't pray, don't go near to God. It was under that is not good. Then finally came the final command, which prohibited innamal khamru wal maisir wal ansab wal azlam rijsun min amali shaitan fajtanibuhu la'allakum tuflihun. Well, drinking and gambling and all other things, the actions of devil and Satan's. So be away from them. Then only you can get success or attainment in the life hereafter. And with that, gambling and drinking was prohibited for once for all. Similarly, about law of inheritance, it didn't come all of once. It starts from this verse. To start with, it was said, when a person approaches death and he is leaving some wealth behind, he has to make a will or a bequest for his inheritors, to whom he is going to inherit this property. He has to say, go for a will, this part should go to my son, to my daughter, this to my brother or to my father, like that. It was incumbent. This was the first law. But with the passage of time, then came the final law about law of inheritance, what we see, most comprehensive law of inheritance in the world. When we reach that level, inshallah, chapter An-Nisa, that's too far away now, till now, it's very far, but inshallah we'll reach that slowly and steadily. That time we'll see what a comprehensive law of inheritance was given by Quran 1400 years back, which is still valid. And even great legal luminaries of the world are surprised what kind of law it is. And many biggies of the world, Harvard graduates, got converted to Islam by studying Islamic law of inheritance. Okay, that was final. Then the scope of will was reduced. It was kept made optional. Now it is like this. When a person dies, need not to go for will. If at all one wants to make a will, he can make it according to hadith, not in Quran, according to hadith, just up to 1/3 of his property. The rest of the property, it's not necessary, it's not compulsory, it's optional. Normally need not to go for that, unless it is needed. When a person dies, whatever he leaves behind, there are specific shares or portions, well determined. That will be according to dispute. Nobody can alter that law of inheritance because that is divine, that's God-given. No person, not even any value or not even any prophet could change it. How come? This divine law, this law of inheritance, this is the beginning of that. In the beginning, what it was said, till that final law comes, when death approaches anybody amongst you and he is leaving some wealth or property behind, he has to make a bequest or his will in favor of his parents and near of kin. That is son, daughter, wife, etc. But in a goodly, but it was also in a just and goodly manner. Not lopsided, not depriving genuine inheritor, but in a genuinely in a goodly manner, in a perfect manner. And it was that it's according to that. First law, that till the final comprehensive law came in chapter An-Nisa, we shall read that. It is kutiba alaykum, it is enjoined upon you, O believers, إِذَا حَذَرَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ, when death approaches anybody among you, in taraka khaira, and if he is leaving behind some wealth, some property, al-wasiyatu, he should make a bequest or a will lil walidin, in favor of his parents, wal aqrabin, and near of kin. Near of kin generally means wife, son, daughter, etc. Bil ma'ruf, in a goodly manner. Haqqan al muttaqin, this an obligation on the God-fearing people. Faman badalahu ba'da samiyah. Now, whoever changes that will, that means he's made a will, but somebody tries to change it, so that it goes in his favor, or in favor of his others, nears and dears. It's a big sin. It was declared that sin. Now, I told you, now it's not that. Now we can at the most go for will up to 1/3, and that will is to be taken if that is well directed. And visit cannot be done now. Who are inheriting your property, you cannot go for will in favor of that. But here Quran says, "Faman badalahu ba'da masami'a," who alters that will or bequest after hearing it, فَإِنَّمَا إِسْمُهُ عَلَى الَّذِينَ يُبَدِّلُونَ, then sin of this alteration falls upon the shoulders of that who changed it. He's accountable for that. He'll be punished. He's to be taken care of. He'll have to face chastisement in Allah's semi, because Allah is all hearing, Alim, all knowing. He knows everything. You cannot cheat God, God forbid. فَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوسٍ جَنَفًا, but there's still one thing to be taken care of. Quran leads on every front. وَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوسٍ جَنَفًا, but if anyone fears partiality, if anyone fears partiality or wrongdoing on the part of testator, that means the dying person has gone for will or bequest. He's a testator, he's a bequeather, he goes for, but that is depriving some genuine persons and giving some people more partial. And the person who are there, the elderly person, the learned person, they feel this will is unjust. And with the consent of these concerned people, he decides matters between them to make it at par, to make it real good for all the concerned people. Then there's no harm. But provided the person who is distributor has no personal interest in that. This Quran also explains that. فَمَنْ خَافَ مِنْ مُوسٍ جَنَفًا, but if anyone fears partiality or any wrongdoing on the isman from that testator, from that bequeather, he feels that there's some unjust thing has been done, some wrongdoing is there, there's some partiality, then فَأَصْلَحَ بَيْنَهُمْ, then he corrects between them. That means the legal hears in between legal, he managed them properly and with mutual consent, makes them understand and decides in matter in a goodly manner, provided he has no special personal interest. Then Fala Ismail, then there is no sin upon the person who changed it. In Allah Ghafur, because in such case Allah is all forgiving. Rahim, he is most merciful. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم والحمد لله رب العالمين.